Hello, 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 everyone. How are all of you? Hopefully, you're all doing well. So today we are working. We're going to finish unlocking the alliance raids, which we were having issues with the other night because 14 was having some connection issues. Rahatia is pondering how best to proceed. Well, it seems there's but one solution for our ignorance: a thorough investigation. For this, we require more manpower and supplies, among other things. With your permission, we will confer with our representatives, Cryo, and make the necessary arrangements for a formal investigation. If that is what must be done to commence your work in earnest, then by all means. Without further ado, then, let us return to Sharlayan. Hold, mortals. You profane this sacred realm with your very presence, and you must answer for your irreverence. I am Brygot the Builder. Brygot, then the 12 are real? Let there be no doubt, we are not simulacra. Simulacra, born of mortal faith. Nay, we 12 are divinities true. And in Hydaelyn's absence, we are the star's rightful rulers. Its will. We'll see about that. Closely we have watched mankind. And we have determined that you, champion of Hydaelyn, pose a threat to our ascension. You are foolish to wander into our realm. We could destroy you with ease. Here and now, but as divinities, we must demonstrate grace and forbearance. There is but one path we must weigh this mortal's worth. Here, let there be a trial. While the mortal would invariably be destroyed, it would at least provide us with a diversion. What, you suddenly appear and expect us to simply comply with your whims? Protest if you wish, but mortal logic means not to gods. You will abide by our laws. Lo, the gateway to our sanctums lies open. Show us the strength of mankind. Show us the honor of mankind. Show us the spirit of mankind. If man would remain the master of his own destiny, then assemble your comrades and come. Come and prove your worthiness. These CDs sound like they're quaking in their boots. Well, I mean, they absolutely should. I mean, they held off because Hydaelyn was basically the deity ruler of the realm, and yet we removed her. So, I mean, should they not be quaking in their boots? Seven hells, during my previous race, nothing like this ever happened. I encountered not a single soul, and certainly not gods. And by their own admission, they mean to take over the star? What are we to do? The situation has indeed taken an unexpected turn, but we must try to think clearly. The 12 have long been revered and worshipped in Eorzea, and myths about them abound. Oh, you stand in our way, but we can totes smite you, but, we're gonna hold off on it for godly reasons. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why at some point I want to play the God of War games, because it's basically like that same concept. It's like, we can smite you, Kratos, but we choose not to. He then proceeds to turn about and smite all the gods. The 12 have long been revered and I already read that line. But to my knowledge, they have never thus appeared so openly before people. For these beings to suddenly reveal themselves just when we're here, claim supremacy over the star, and challenge illusion to a trial. Too much about this feels odd, and it gives me pause. Fair enough. Yet as it stands, it seems we can't dismiss this threat either. If they're issuing a challenge, then challenge accepted. I mean, we'll either succeed and have become masters of the challenge, or we will fail and at least have attempted the challenge. Dependable as ever, my friend. In any event, if these beings seek dominion over the star as they say, what happens here may have far-reaching implications. To that end, I believe we should take action. Suffice it to say, you are with me. Then, the students of Odejian will officially tend to the situation. The students of Eldegian will do jack shit. It's the person with the scythe on their back over there that's going to be doing all the goddamn work. Well, more like all the people that I'm going to be grouping up with because I am a shit player. But that's a whole nother story. In the course of studying the star's mysteries, we have undertaken to deal with any threats that may arise. This is no different. Right. Let us deliberate a course of action. Derek, know you aught of these beings' sanctums? Aye, they are domains in the Phantom Realm that lie beyond each gate. I've explored them all. Perhaps due to etheric instability, there are times when one can enter when ordinarily one cannot. But it would seem the way has been opened for us. When I encountered no gods during my previous rays, I saw enough to know my way around. I am but a humble explorer and cannot contend with gods. But if you would be willing to protect me, I will serve as your guide. Assemble your comrades? Brygott bade us. As strong as I know you are, we know little and less about our foes, neither their strength nor their true nature. 'Twould be decidedly reckless to contend with them unprepared. And so, as much as I would like to accompany you, I should do what affords us the best chance at victory. While you set forth to answer the gods' challenge, I will work behind the scenes in my capacity as a student. For one, it behoove us to arm ourselves with knowledge about the 12, and I shall begin by apprising Cryo of the situation. By thus utilizing our resources to fullest, we shall overcome whatever trials await. Oh my god, where are there shadows on the ground? It's like they are floating. Well, I mean... in a sense, technically, looking at kind of where the sources of light are coming from, I mean, they shouldn't have any one distinct shadow. In fact, they really shouldn't even probably have a shadow at all. But I mean, we are kind of in a separate realm from the normal realm, for one. Where is the Crystal Tower? There's the Crystal Tower. Well, it could also be I run on lower settings just because Streamlabs will freak the fuck out if I turn up the graphics any more than what they currently are. Hell, it barely likes the graphics settings I have it on. My computer will run it a lot higher. But Streamlabs itself just freaks out. Like, it will run, my computer will run max settings at like 120 frames a second, and Streamlabs will do it at like 4. It drives me fucking nuts. And I'm kind of hoping once I can finally get just regular OBS set up, which is taking me forever because, well, I'm lazy. that maybe I can run at even higher graphics, because regular OBS is better, but it is not anywhere near as user friendly. And I had a friend walk me through how to try to import everything from Streamlabs to OBS. It didn't work. It did not work whatsoever. That's why I have to rebuild everything manually. Which is good, because I got some things some new things I want to get set up and put together, and but usually they don't go through, and at least on the settings I've got, they don't render the shadows for NPCs. Nor does it look like they render shadows for other players either. But you can see where I have a shadow. Ah, there's the vendor. That's what I was after right there. I want that emote. Eat the pumpkin cookie. But I'm like always wondering about what I can do to like do better content and such for streams and YouTube videos and such. And it's just like, but when you combine that with the fact that I procrastinate and generally kind of lazy, it usually takes me forever to get things done. I'm quite pleased. I might be getting an interview for another job here. Just hopefully it's not wanting to start too terribly soon, because I want to get my full severance package out of my current employer. Well, I mean, my biggest problem for the longest time with wanting to stream was where I used to live. where I used to live just did not have good internet. Because basically the only thing that was available to where I lived was satellite internet, which had some pretty severe data caps. Like even downloading patches for some games, and I would be out of data for the month. So when I finally moved to a place that had good internet, it's like, yeah, here we go. We're going to start streaming. The original plan had been to stream with some friends, but then they were taking too long and hemming and hawing about various things, so I just started. And here we are 3 years later. In about a month and a half to figure out what I'm going to do for 3-year anniversary. Well, is that because of low Wi-Fi signal, or just because it's actually just outright crappy internet? Because potentially some of that could just be solved by running setting up in the right location of your residence a repeater. Although you could be like one person I talked to over the phone years and years ago when I supported Verizon FiOS. They used metallic paint, and so turned their room into a giant Faraday cage. And when they realized what they'd done, they're like, oh. Because unlike most people I worked with, I actually went to college for such things. And so it's like, I was always like, when the people were having wireless issues, it's just like, okay, how far are you away from your router? What kind of materials are in the way? Because that can all have an effect on it. And they're like, well, it stopped working right after I painted the room. Which made me think, it's like, what the hell did you paint your room with? And then they went, oh, it's a metallic flake. It's a copper metallic flake paint. It's like, oh god, okay, there's our problem. You're either A, going to have to strip that paint completely out of that room, or B, you're going to have to run Ethernet to the room, and then if you want wireless, you'd have to set up another repeater in that room connected off of that Ethernet. What is it? 2022. So Yeah, I can't remember where that person lived. I mean, I know it wasn't Arizona because that wasn't one of the states we. I don't know whether Verizon Fios has service there now, but at least when I was working there, it was California,
So, you are resolved to
uh,
face me.
parts of Texas, New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Virginia,
Come, children of
Florida,
man.
and Connecticut. And God, do I have some stories from that shit.
Scatter!
What if I don't want to scatter?
Bend the knee.
No.
Tremble before my divinity.
And did I say California? I can't remember whether I did or not.
Behold the virtuosity of the builder.
Because that was where one of the calls, the most egregious of calls that I ever had came from. Of just like the dumbest people. Bend the knee sounds like he wants to be proposed to. Well, I mean that, or he believes or he believes the king. That he's a king.
To me, O Hammer Divine.
Okay, I have a bad memory, so. And as I've gotten older, it's gotten worse. Ow. So if you ever see me like forget something, or I say I'm going to do something and then don't do it, don't feel bad about reminding me, because I literally probably just forgot. Yeah. Oh, I didn't really. Downside being this is the first time I'm actually doing this raid. It's like, I'm not quite sure what all the mechanics are. I don't like looking up like videos on how to do like specific raids or anything. I much prefer going into them on the blind side and trying to figure it out.
It's too late to beg mercy.
I don't know. It's loading. I can't do anything about that.
Bend the knee. O Hammer Divine!
If you would halt our ascension, then press on.
The Builder has been made to yield. Intriguing. Then the Destroyer shall take your measure. After you have provided my servant with some spores.
Oh, really? Seriously? Stream disconnected? Quick question, do I have sound? I remember the last time I disconnected like that, I lost sound. Definitely lagging. Nope, speeds are good.
Ahead stands a statue I have fashioned for our contest.
I need to check to see if I still have sound. One moment.
Wandering star, descend and destroy.
Okay, I need to restart this because I've got no sound. Just a moment, we'll be restarting stream. I will be back shortly. Okay.
Could you predict your own undoing?
After this fight, I'll have to check to see if I've got sound again, but I'm hoping I do. Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry. Apparently when that disconnect happened, Streamlabs decided that it no longer wanted to have sound. So I had to restart. Which means I've got video editing to do later. No, not on you. It's an issue I've noticed lately, and with any time Streamlabs crashes, it usually means I lose my sound. So which is one of the reasons why I want to replace Streamlabs.
Most impressive. Children of man.
Come, mortals. Enter my realm, if you dare.
I mean, thankfully, it's like I do have. It's unfortunately a fair distance away. But I do have another computer I can go to check and make sure I've got sound. Although, as I've really been getting into kind of leaving behind my, can't remember what it's called. It doesn't matter. But I've really been getting into K-pop lately, thanks to Ren Leah.
You will be
I'll give her a
scoured
shout
by
out
the
here.
light of the sun.
Because they are just an absolutely amazing streamer.
Unable to escape the blast.
They've gotten me into listening to K-pop, so if anyone knows any good
Crimson Cloud in fire woven.
What do you mean cannot execute it this time? I'm literally
In your
pressing
wake,
buttons.
leave naught uncleansed.
any good K-pop groups to listen to, you can leave links for me in my Discord under the music section.
For all the safety ringing, because that was so horrible.
Well, judging by kernel, I'm guessing you're either running a Linux OS or maybe an iOS. But because you generally don't see anyone referring to Windows at all in that manner.
Is it just a mirage? Or something more?
2010 MacBook Pro. I don't know. I just can't ever bring myself to own anything Mac.
Finish.
But even then, you usually don't even really hear too many people refer to kernels on Mac either. That's mainly just a Linux user terminology. That's why I went to that as my default. Although I haven't run a Linux distribution in years. Mainly just because I just don't have the time that I want to devote to trying to play around with Linux and get it stabilized and working well enough on a given computer to actually be remotely useful.
Raging flames dance upon the wind.
Although I'm sure to some extent it's a lot easier than it was the last time I played around with Linux. I mean, it's probably been, what?
None can escape the Inferno.
10 years or so since I last played around with Linux.
This will burn.
Well, it's just a very special Mac then. Freaks out and just shuts down. I remember taking to the Apple Genius Bar when the issue first started, and they were like, well, hey, stress test it, and it didn't do the thing. And I was like, BS. Try playing a Vine again on Tumblr or opening Google Maps. Well, I mean, stress test usually doesn't require you to actually go through and utilize very specific items. Stress testing would usually just require the use of a specific program that will suddenly put load on all the components and wouldn't have anything to do with the actual software operation.
I've quite warmed to you.
So, I mean, it may not be BS, it's just that they didn't properly test it.
Not uncleansed. Is it just a mirage? Or something more?
But honestly, I never much cared for Mac. I spent at least a little bit of time in college trying to learn it, and generally I found
Let there be fire.
that Mac just was not worth the money for it. Even more so in, what was that, 2007, 2008, when they moved away from proprietary parts to just using regular PC parts. Because the entire reason previously that they'd gone with using proprietary parts was if they used proprietary parts with their own operating system, it had a far better ability to stay stable. But because that was getting way too expensive to do,
I am Null, keeper of the realm of the living.
they really removed a lot of the stability out of their system.
I am Thor, keeper of the realm of the dead. Prepare to be judged, children of man.
Told when he left it with them that what triggered it, so I guess they thought, oh, those aren't stressful enough. Well, I mean, it kind of depends upon what they were trying to figure out and what they actually support. I don't know much about the Genius Bar for Apple, so I can't speak to what they actually support. But I imagine they basically, being the manufacturers, support they would probably only support the actual hardware itself and the core operating system. Can't tell you how many times where I currently work, I have to tell people that there's a limit to what we can support on personal devices, and what you're asking me to do is way beyond the limit of what we're actually allowed to cover. It usually sucks for the user experience, but
The flames of the abyss consume all. Bitterest suffering awaits.
Six vulnerability stacks. That's just insane to have as a DPS. I am doing a really shit job. But now one of the things I did back in college, because well, I went to college. First I went to college. I was an English major, but that fell through, and so. Second time through, I went as a computer electronics and engineering is what the program was called. So one of the things that me and some friends did on the side to get practice was we spent a lot of time basically repairing, rebuilding, or finding scrap computers that we would then get to a functioning status for other college students. And we made a little bit of extra cash on the way. When there was college students that had extra money, because for the most part, college students are kind of broke, which we understood because we were broke college students as well.
Still you defy our divine authority. Very well. Let us proceed to your judgment. We, the traders, shall weigh your soul! Preserve the balance. You can. The moment of judgment is come.
Nifty.
Well done! You are deserving of reward. As a show of esteem, we shall bring our all to bear. Man's tenacity is a sight to behold. Such vim and vigor. You have been found worthy.
Good, like I needed you to actually tell me that. Sadly, I probably did not get the pet. But remember, folks, if you're in college, make sure to stay friends and treat your local computer information tech students well, because it may benefit you. You're safe, thank goodness. I rushed here as soon as I heard the tidings from Raha. Is this true? Beings claiming to be the 12 have appeared? You defeated them all? Incredible. I had no doubt that you would succeed, but I'm no less impressed for it. Sodom felt such. Yea, we're worthy orbs of power. To think that the day would come that we'd put on an act for men. I must say, Bragot, you played the villain's role to perfection. Come now, Master. I merely did what was necessary to compel the mortals to confront us. Still, it pained me to speak to our beloved children so unkindly. So you say, Azima, yet you seemed happy enough to fight them. You did not forget the true purpose of the trial, I hope. Well, I couldn't help but be excited, and do not tell me you felt differently. Consider yourselves fortunate, children. 'Tis rare indeed to see Nodthal in such high spirits. What in the world is happening? Didn't you say you had defeated them? Did they manage to flee, or perhaps were resummoned? Put up your weapons. You have naught to fear from us. Rest assured, we are not summoned beings. We do not drain the land of ether, nor do we take men into our thrall. But what of the gods who were summoned during the calamity? The ones Master Louisoix called forth to protect the realm. That was not us, but a primal born of your fervent prayers for salvation. Indeed, that was the worst the calamity was averted, and the realm restored in its aftermath was a direct testament to the power of your hopes. Just as men harbor hope, so too do we gods. To realize our aspirations, 'tis essential that we do battle with you. Thus did I falsely claim that we sought to rule the world. 'Twas deceitful conduct unworthy of a divinity, and I must apologize, not only for that, but for using my powers to do harm besides. These hopes of yours, won't you tell us what they are? We cannot. If you wish to know the truth, you must discover it for yourselves. It is not easy to move forward when there is seemingly no destination, but what if you press on? You will eventually arrive at the answers you seek. You will understand why we hold our peace, and far more besides. You will learn the very truth of our existence. Go forth, mortals, and seek knowledge of us, and when the time is right, we shall meet again in this place. As if hearing about your battling the 12 weren't shocking enough, to have them appear before my very eyes. Suffice to say, it's been an interesting day. While much about them remains shrouded in mystery, at least they seem open to reason. In considering our next step, I should very much like to hear your detailed account of them. Right after I have a word with our client, that is. Please give me a moment to introduce myself, and then we can review the situation. Greetings. I am Cryo of the Students of Odegian. Do I have the pleasure of addressing Derek, the explorer who sought to aid in investigating this place? I am Derek, and this here is a baby Oppo Oppo. Yes, I can see that. Doesn't it have a name? None that I know of, nor would I presume to bestow one, for that would be condescending. I see, that's very considerate of you. So I understand you explored the various Phantom Realms with Derek. Will you recount to me the experience? Yeah, the Oppo Oppos are really cute. I don't think on this character I have that minion, but on my main I do. So while the gods tested you sorely, you did not sense any malicious intent. As Bragot said, they wish to do battle with us, but it would seem they do not necessarily wish to cause us harm. Though much and more about this perplexes, maybe it is safe to assume that they are not primals. As you may recall, Livingway once told us that the art of summoning, as taught by the Asians, incorporates the fervent desire to assimilate others into one's belief. Thus do the resultant primals seek to enthrall worshippers, who in turn seek to grow their ranks. But these beings appear to harbor no such desire. If they are primals, then they are unlike those that have been summoned in recent memory. We might suppose that they were created in antiquity in like manner to Hydaelyn, but there is no way to prove it. Who could they possibly be, and why do they desire battle with man? Even of your little Eorzea, you know precious little. The true identities of the 12, for instance. Emmett Selk did say that, didn't he? But which we may assume he knew the truth, and challenged you to seek it out. Suffice to say, you'll do so, of course. Insofar as we can ascertain, this is a matter which has implications for the entire star. In light of this, the students of Odegian formally accept the commission. We will investigate the Phantom Realm and the beings who call themselves the 12. I'm pleased to hear that. Thank you. Without further ado, then I will take a look around. There are a few things I'm curious about. Then with your permission, I will take myself around Eorzea and investigate the worship of those gods we encountered. Illusion, Derek, seeing as you've already seen this place, would you care to accompany me? By all means, in which case... Could you stay here with Cryo, my friend? It wouldn't do to leave a fair maiden alone. Okok! I shall be glad for the company. Take care then, and good luck. So, to explain my plan, it is believed that the 12 were already worshipped during the Third Astral Era, when the Allegan Empire flourished. Come the Fifth Astral Era, those nations that fought in the War of the Magi each took one of the 12 as a guardian deity. This practice has continued to the present day in Eorzea, with some notable regional differences. For instance, Ishgardians hold Halone as the absolute, while Sharlayans enjoy a moderate relationship with Thaliak. By visiting various locations in Eorzea and learning about the 12 as they are worshipped, I hope to identify any similarities or differences between them and the beings we encountered. In so doing, I believe we will draw closer to the truth of their identities. For our first destination, I propose we take ourselves to Rhalgar's Reach. The place is holy ground for worshippers of the Destroyer, and promises to yield useful details. Let's see, what menus do I have on this? Menu guide. So I got a bunch of Wind Up Moogle, Vilmathair, Morbo, Tiny Rat, Wolf Pup, Poro Rogo, Griffin Hatchling, Wind Up Rudy. I don't recognize that one at all. Hatchling Bunny. The Squirrel Emperor is really kind of cute. Wind Up Odin. Yeah, I don't have that one on this character. We got little wind-up Fran with the random at. Waiting. There you are. So this is Rhalgar's Reach, where the dauntless soldier of the Alamegan resistance gathered. How stirring to stand here with you. If you don't mind my making an observation, it seems you enjoy traveling with company. I mean, who the hell doesn't? It's boring going places on your own. I do. It's something I dreamed of for a long time. I mean, granted, usually whenever I travel, like if I go on vacation somewhere, it's usually I spend most of my time sitting in a chair somewhere reading a book. Unless it's like we're going to go do an activity, like go to a museum or go to a zoo or something like that. with whoever I'm traveling with. At which point then I'm not sitting reading a book. But otherwise, you'll probably find me sitting reading a book. Like the last time I went on vacation, I went to Tybee Island in Georgia with my parents. And they spent a lot of time walking along the beach. I spent most of my time at the Airbnb we were renting, out on the balcony overlooking the river, the Savannah River. Though it's kind of angled where you could see the ocean because we're just right there on towards the edge of where the Savannah River and the ocean met. And I spent most of my time there on that balcony reading said book. Unless we were going, I got hungry, at which point then I went and found myself some food at one of the restaurants. Which Tybee Island has some amazing restaurants. And if you're ever there, go to the Crab Shack. Amazing, amazing food. I think it's actually been rated like one of the best dive restaurants in the country. I mean, the place, the restaurant looks like shit. Honestly. It's basically like card table chairs and, because I mean, anytime hurricane season comes around, like, and it's an all outside restaurant, so everything's open to the elements. So it's like, you figure they don't want to spend too much on any nice looking furniture or anything, because it's probably just going to go away. So, but I mean, it's nice little area to just, they make some really good food. Is that so? What of yourself? Do you normally travel alone? In my wanderings, I much prefer to have solitude. Not that I avoid people or communities, mind you. As a matter of fact, I've been here before, on the trail of the Phantom Realm. Now think on it. More often than not, those places where Phantom Realm sightings are known to occur have a tradition of 12 worship. Then I dare to hope that we are on the right track. As I'm sure you know, Relgar's Reach is home to the Temple of the Fist. The ancient headquarters of the Fist of Relgar. Raised by the Mad King Theodoric, the temple lay abandoned before the Alamegan resistance claimed it for its operations. While I doubt that much literature has survived over the years, the people here may possess some knowledge of the local faith. So let us split up and make inquiries and reconvene here afterwards to share findings. Sad part is I can rarely find friends that want... It's easy to find friends who want to go to the zoo. Not so easy to find friends that want to go to art museums. I mean, I can't draw or paint for shit, but I do rather enjoy good art. When last he visited, he shared with me the tales he heard on his journeys, and what amazing tales they were. If you have time, I'd love to hear both of your stories. Alas, we're in some haste. We're investigating the worship of Relgar, and seek literature on the subject. Religious texts and the like, can any still be found here? Just about all of it is gone, sadly, destroyed by the Empire, if not the Mad King before that. But we haven't lost everything. The mighty image of the Destroyer, the tales we share at the campfire, like the legend of our nation's founding. We still have these things, and they were a source of great comfort and strength to us in our darkest moments. I say, if you don't mind, I'd be obliged to hear your stories this time. Rest assured, I will have this well in hand. Feel free to carry on as you were. You always appreciate a place that puts a bit more money and effort towards food than just decor. There's a Mexican food place I love, but it looks a bit rough around the edges. And one Chinese place that has basic IKEA furniture, but oh my gosh, the food. Well, I mean, like I said, in Crab Shack's defense, they are in the middle of a hurricane-prone area, and since the entire restaurant is basically outdoors, like there's no roof. It's just an open, like patio. So I mean, if there's any kind of hurricane, they need to be able to move that furniture quick, or be able to afford the loss of said furniture. So I mean, when you kind of realize that, it's like, oh, that makes sense. But they are constantly packed. A storm of blood approaches fast. Hell's open, heavens weep, for no one's soul doth lie beyond the measures of his reach. But they're not far from where a lot of the shrimp boats that are based around Tybee Island come into port. So, I mean, they have some amazing crawfish and shrimp. Not to mention their blue crab that they have there is absolutely delicious as well. Yep. I think the most expensive things that they have is basically they do have a bar area that's that has a roof over the bar itself, and under there they've got a couple of TVs, and I think that might be the most expensive part of the restaurant. Yes, if you have business, please make it quick. I'm due to meet with someone any moment now. Forgive me my delay. You're an adventurer, I take it. What can we have students of Alamingan history do for you? Researching the worship of the Destroyer, you say? In that case, I have something that ought to be of interest. This is a copy of Destructivity, a scripture of the first of Fists of Relgar. The original was one of the few texts that survived the temple's razing. It is in the safekeeping of one Professor Eric. Well, we had best return to our work. Till next time, adventurer. Well, I mean, my parents take a trip down to Tybee Island once or twice a year, and they mainly just go because the food's just so good. That they can find down there, so. I went with them just because it's like, I think in the entire time with my current employer, I've been there for now about 8 years. I've only taken what you would actually consider actual vacation as maybe 2 in the entire 8 years. So maybe a total of 2 weeks. And one of those was for my brother's wedding, like 6 years ago? 5 years ago? Otherwise, I just take an occasional extra day off work. What were you able to learn? A copy of one of the scriptures, you say? A moment while I skim over it. I see. This chapter appears to be a record of the construction of the great image of Rhalgar, written in a style that suggests folklore was committed to parchment. When the deluge of the sixth umbral calamity threatened Eorzea, the ancestors of the Alamegans were guided to safety by a comet. Believing that was sent by Rhalgar, they came to hold him in the highest. This much of the tale I had been familiar with. But according to the scripture, among those refugees who followed the comet, some claim to have caught sight of Rhalgar himself. Their accounts were passed down through the centuries, and worships of the Destroyer pieced them together to give shape to yonder statue. I must say, it bears more than a passing resemblance to the being we encountered. Were that Rhalgar a primal, the explanation for the similarities would be simple. That is, the statue gives rise to an unified interpretation of Rhalgar's appearance, which in turn lends form to the primal. I still probably have vacation hours from my first year there. They have an overall cap on how much tap time you can have banked up at any given point in time. But it's like 400 hours. I mean, I've got a lot of time banked up, but with part of the severance package is basically they're going to buy that I get here in January when they lay us all off, is they're going to pay out all that tap time. So it's like, at this point, I don't want to use it unless I absolutely have to, for some reason or another. So I'll have like 250 some odd hours that they're going to cash me out. However, this fails to account for what inspired the likeness in the first place. But the scriptures believed it was the sightings during the sixth umbral calamity, yet for those witnesses to be able to recognize Rhalgar, they would have needed an agreed upon idea of his appearance beforehand. If we then consider the history of the 12 worship that had already existed in the Third Astral Era, it would not be ridiculous to think that these divinities existed even prior to that. So the question is, did these beings give rise to their respective faiths, or are they primals born of them? I thought we had made it clear, we are not summoned beings. Since time immemorial, our domains have lain scattered across Eorzea. As a matter of fact, one of those in which you set foot is nearby. 'Tis not unusual for mortals to glimpse us. That voice, could they be? Indeed, I am Brygot, and the hawk beside me is Rhalgar. I shall elaborate upon my master's explanation. We thus disguise ourselves when we wish to observe the world without, for being seen in our true forms would violate our laws of conduct. Yet, though we similarly disguise our sanctums, veiling them in illusion, rents are known to manifest when the surrounding ether is unstable. In such time, should a gifted mortal chance to be near, they may inadvertently catch sight of us. Of course, during an umbral calamity, etheric imbalance occurs on a star-wide scale, the ideal condition for seeing the Phantom Realm. Precisely. How many times we have been seen, we ourselves have no way of knowing. But that is a sound assumption to make. Well, Brygot, I believe that much shall suffice by way of an apology for our deception. Shall we? Indeed, that is all we are at liberty to reveal. Very well, children of man. Yeah, as much as I'm tempted to try and stay till the 4th of January to get my full severance package, it's like also one of those things of, well, how long am I actually going to be outside of work at that point? I can't really necessarily afford to be out of work for more than a couple of weeks, really. I mean, actually, it's actually a fairly lengthy amount of time that after, with the severance package I could be without work. But I mean, even then, I'd be much more comfortable pretty much having work lined up by then. But if I find the right offer beforehand, I may decide to leave early and go and take that. Aside from the reticence where it concerns their identity and objective, these divinities are certainly approachable. It's what they said that was true, and their worship can be traced back to their sightings. It would serve to explain one thing. According to my research in the field of comparative mythology, Rogar is often observed to bear many similarities with Ramu. Assuming both were inspired by the Rogar of the Phantom Realm, their divergence may be attributable to differences in culture between man and sylph. So you believe that they gave rise to the prevailing faiths of Eorzea. Given available evidence, yes, I am inclined to, yet none of this explains their presence. How and when did beings of such power come into existence? Oh, 'tis you, Crow. Has something happened? Truly, very well. I shall take care of it. Crow has recruited an acquaintance to aid in our investigation, an authority on mythology. I must go and receive her at the Sunken Temple of Karn, where she is currently conducting fieldwork. After a brief detour to prepare a little something. Conveniently, Thanalin is home to countless adherents of Nalthal. While attending to business, may I ask the two of you to make inquiries in Ul'dah? Very well. Excellent. I will join you as soon as I am able. By your leave. So it's to be just you and me in Ul'dah. I suppose it can't be helped. Apprehension is writ plain upon Derek's face. What strange manners for the one who proposed the survey to so promptly abandon it? I'll not lie, I am not given to working one-on-one with another, but I suppose I agreed to this arrangement. Well, we had best be on our way. As I recall, Milvaneth's Sicarium is still closed for construction, so let's try our luck at Azerneth Ossuary. You have no objection to traveling separately, I trust. Good, I shall see you in Ul'dah. Ah, you're here. Of the deific twins, Nodthal here, they worship Thal, who keeps the realm of the dead and weighs the worth of men's souls. In contrast, Nald keeps the world of the living and oversees their financial fortunes. The names are borne by many location and religious organizations. Some extremely wealthy and powerful exist to nurture faith in them. On the surface, it may seem strange that a hub of commerce such as Ulda could be home to such spiritual people, but it's actually quite logical when one considers that their religion is, in essence, commerce. In any event, Nodthal is a truly unusual divinity. Was originally held to be one god, came to be worshipped as twins. Indeed, rather than two distinct entities, that which we encountered was a single being possessed of two personalities. Did I mishear? Did you just say they encountered Nodthal? Yes, you heard that correctly. And while his appearance differs somewhat to the divinities worshipped, it cannot be denied there are striking similarities in the nature. Forgive me, this is hardly the place for such a conversation. Let us continue it elsewhere. I want to check something here. Okay. It was curious to me to openly speak of our encounter with a divinity within this place where he is worshipped. Hereon I shall exercise greater caution. I thank you for alerting me to my indiscretion, and ask that you keep it between us. Now then, to finish our conversation. As I mentioned, though the Nodthal as worshipped by men appears somewhat different, there are undeniable similarities in their nature. I believe we may report this much to Raha Tia. With that, our work here is done. Rather than waiting for our companion to arrive, perhaps we might seek him out at the Sunken Temple? He mentioned needing to make a detour where we just out now, we ought to be able to catch up to him. After all, we hardly know one another. Rather than loiter with an unfamiliar person, it's better to use our time productively. Wouldn't you agree? Then let us head to the Sunken Temple of Karn at once. You're here, thank goodness. I found this woman collapsed, though I can see no obvious injuries. By her attire, she appears to be some manner of scholar. Water, food, in my bag, please. I see. Illusion, may I trouble you to find her bag? I'll stay on the lookout in the meantime. So thirsty, so hungry. Not enough food. I need food. I have not saved dried meat. Tough as leather. Do you have anything easier to consume? Illusion, Derek, what are you doing here? Actually, that can wait. Seti, Snowgeim, I've brought you Archon loaf and coffee, made sweet and creamy, just as you like it. Considering what all goes into Archon loaf, I'm surprised that anyone would want it or possibly recover to any semblance of being good. I am reborn, washed down with the sweet beverage, the life-giving nutrients of Archon loaf permeate my being from head to toe. Thank you, kind stranger. However you knew my preferred source of sustenance, you are truly a godsend. Oh, it's you, Raha. What brings you here? I don't recall mentioning my fieldwork. It's from my research into the Baladians' worship of Vizima, you see. Haven't you heard from Kryl? The students are presently investigating the 12, and we would prevail upon your expertise. May I introduce Snowgeim, expert mythologist. She's a collaborator of the students, and like many Charlian scholar, is passionate about her endeavors to the point of forgetting to eat. I've done that a time or two. There have been many times where I've gotten so into a book that I forget about everything else until I finish said book. And depending on the length of said book, that could be anywhere from 4 to 12-ish hours. If it's around 300 or 400 pages, we're talking about the 4 to 5 hour mark. 800 to 1,000 pages, we're talking closer to that 8 to 12 hour mark. Seeing as she has recovered, may I ask the two of you to tell her about the Phantom Realm? The 12 abide in the Phantom Realm, and you exchange not only words with them, but blows besides? Incredible. And your description of the domains, a thunderous tower in one and a sweltering city in another, are precisely as the heavens of lightning and fire are depicted in legend. In ancient times, worshippers of the 12 believed that there exists 7 heavens and 7 hells. Aetherology has since established that departed souls return to the ethereal sea. But since those afterlife domains were more than just inventions of mortal imagination. As a pursuer of myths, I must say it feels somewhat anticlimactic to suddenly have these revelations given to me. But more than that, I'm dying to know more. Which is to say, please allow me to join your investigation. Certainly. We would, of course, welcome your presence. Without further ado, then, let us head to Omphalos. Cryo awaits us there. Okay, if we're going back to there, I need to go to more donuts. Ooh, this will be a close victory for the Stream Raiders fight. Would have lost that if not for the ranged troops of Ladoodle Mine there, or Ladoodle Mine. Sorry. Let's see here. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome, Snowguy. I'm glad you could join us. Crow, how delightful to see you again. I understand you've been doing a fine job leading the students. But may I say what a lovely place this is at a glance. This appears to be the highest of the heavens of legend, the seventh heaven. And oh, if those aren't symbols representing the other heavens, I take it. Those are their respective gateways. I should like to pay them all a visit. For Snowguy's benefit, let us review what we have learned thus far, and thence deliberate the next step. The gods who appeared before us in Rhalgr's Reach. Though they were disguised as unassuming creatures, their laws forbid them from showing their true forms outside their realms. Yet, in the event the ambient aether becomes unstable, such as during umbral calamity, it is possible for the realm, and indeed the gods themselves, to be glimpsed by mortals. And such sightings, we believe, have given the rise to various faiths practiced throughout Eorzea. As we confirmed in Ul'dah, the Nodthal worshipped by people in the Nodthal, when encountered here, have more similarities than they do differences. In the course of exploring the Omphalos, two things caught my attention. The first is the gate which lies in the innermost area. If each of the other 6 gates led to an elementally aspected heaven, and we stand in the 7th heaven, as Snowguy says, what then lies behind that last gate? That is a good question. The second is this monument. It harbors some manner of magic unlike anything I've seen before. I will endeavor to decipher it, but it will take some time. Divinities that have existed since time immemorial, who abide in domains resembling the heavens of legend. Why have they chosen to reveal themselves to mortals seeking battle? Unless they favor us with more of their secrets, it would seem this monument holds the key to solving the mystery. Indeed, much more yet lies beyond our understanding, but we'll keep chasing the truth together. As I'm sure you'll agree, though, this is tiring work, both mentally and physically. We need to pace ourselves. To which end, might I suggest we return to Revenant's Toll and have a rest before we embark on the next stage of our investigation? So rarely do I get to simply chat with colleagues. I had fairly forgotten what it felt like. Yeah, I can understand that. I've certainly forgotten that. It's been a long time since I got to go hang out at a bar with some coworkers and have a few drinks after work. Indeed, and it's quite fitting that we should be doing so here at the Seventh Heaven. Fitting, that's an understatement if I've ever heard one. The seventh and highest of the heavens, which rules over the remaining six, was right here in Mordona all this time. This isn't fitting, my friends. It's destiny. You are obviously well versed in the myths surrounding the heavens and hells. If you don't mind, I should like to hear your thoughts on them. See how this fight goes. Invest as they are in their research, it doesn't take much to stoke their passions. My apologies if it makes you uncomfortable. Having always traveled alone, I'm admittedly not too familiar with such a lively atmosphere, but I do not mislike it. By the way, the two of you arrived at the Sun Temple rather quickly. Did something happen? Well, as pleasant as this has been, it's past time we return to the Annex. The paperwork for this commission isn't going to complete itself, alas. And I shall take myself to the Omphalos. There's so much there I'd like to see. And I believe I'll go for a walk nearby. It's getting a little warm in here. Alright, do take care now. Oh, it's pleasant, isn't it? The smells and sounds of a tavern. It makes one feel alive. And afterwards, stepping outside alone and breathing the cool air, I like that just as much. While we await developments, I shall remain here in Revenant's Toll. If there are any tidings, rest assured I will share them with you. Thank you for your help thus far. I doubt so much could have been accomplished without you. Okay, give me just a few moments and we will start into the next thing I want to work on here tonight. I just need a few moments here though.